Hi everyone, Angela here with ElaCateDesigns, back to share another journal with you all today. Got a couple of them, so hang in there. If you saw my earlier video for my design team project for Ephemera's Vintage Garden, you'll remember the cover. And this cover's very similar. This was actually the first one I did. This was my prototype before I did that one. And it was inspired by Paula Lemmons' video on her Christmas ornaments that she had altered using the molds with the paper clay. If you haven't seen it, I will try to remember to link it in all my videos that I do today that have these kind of covers because it was amazing. So as soon as I saw that video, granted I watched it like 2 or 3 times in a row that night, and then ran to the store the next morning and bought all the things I needed to buy to make these. Because watching it, all I could think was like, oh my goodness, journal covers, that would be amazing. So, without further ado, this one here is in shades of green. And it's got the rose and the leaves and the little flourishes here, all gilded with the metallic waxes and metallic gelatos. I just went to town on this cover. And the spine has some of the leaves too. And the back is all just kind of grungy and shimmery and gorgeous. I don't normally like shimmery, but for this purpose, it really works. So, this journal is not super decked out. It's a little more plain, not plain, but it's not full of embellishments and journal cards. That being said, there are some of my envelopes, bags, and large cards that are similar to my last video. They are inspired by Nick the Booksmith's Raggedies. And I had already been doing a lot of collaging before I saw her Raggedies, and then I saw them and kind of died a little because that was amazing. So it inspired me to just continue with crazy collages. So this journal doesn't really have a theme other than its green tones and its kind of botanical nature. I started making it and was thinking of early fall when everything is still green but just starting to turn. So it has kind of those early fall tones in there with greens and golds and some browns. So other than that, it's pretty much a blank canvas where you could go anywhere with it. My normal assortment of pages, I didn't do stamping and that kind of stuff, but I do have the stained laces and some metallic ribbons that I thought was just gorgeous and worked perfectly with the color tones in this. It has like the greens and the kind of like coppers and golds in it. So there's some vintage sheet music in here, lots of different pages. And then these are what I was talking about. If you haven't seen my earlier video, these I'm kind of calling my large Raggedy journal cards because they're not true Raggedies the way that Nick the Booksmith makes them. They're just kind of collaged and embellished on the side, but the backs of them are plain for journaling. So my thoughts on it, which would be entirely whatever you want to do with it, it would be cute if you did a photo on the front and then you could journal on the back. So there are 5 of those throughout this journal, and again, you can move them, do whatever you want with them. So, just the different papers, all coffee stained, some large pockets throughout. I haven't done the embellishing that I normally do because I wanted to kind of leave it as a blank canvas for whomever decides they want this journal. There's lots of room to grow. I've got some tracing paper. This is one of the Raggedy envelopes. Just some collaging on the front. And then you've got the envelope to stick goodies in. This is another one of the large Raggedy cards, and I've just done it on this coffee stain paper, and I think it was coffee stain and tea stain because I was playing with, or maybe it was Kool-Aid, because it's got some purple tones kind of bleeding through it. I was playing with mixing things when coffee staining to get some different effects, and I just had like 2 random papers like this, and I was like, oh well, that'll be perfect. So continuing on, nice little lace pocket, and another one of the cards. And this has got some parchment paper and some vintage laces, some fiber. And I've kind of gone to town with washi because apparently I've recently become obsessed with washi tape. I can't stop buying it. I don't know what that's about, but there's some vintage papers in here and a few papers, I'm sorry, pages from some botanical nature type books I've stuck in here as well. Wild strawberry. And this is some vintage, I think, crocheted cotton lace. I've coffee stained it so it looks super, super old now. It was already old to begin with, but had to add to that apparently. This is, I have 2 Raggedy bags in this journal with my collaging, and it has some of that old newspaper on it that I had talked about in my previous video. I don't know the date on the newspaper, but it's so old it's falling apart. So all the pieces that keep kind of just like crumbling apart, I've been adding to my collages. And this is the other one I did. I think that's the only stamping I did in this journal was on this bag. And this page came from an old book on, I think, trees and shrubs, and the person that had owned it had like underlined things in red pen, and not thinking when I coffee stained it, it, you know, smeared it and kind of turned it hot pink. So if you don't like that, you can cover that up. You can see it on this side still too. Some of it's still kind of red, but I liked the pages nonetheless. You can collage on top of it or something, or whatever. Another one of the large journal card collage Raggedy what have yous. I love this paper. So this is, it was like a, not necessarily a kid's, but definitely like a low student grade. I think it was a watercolor paper. It's really thick and it has some really like dense texture to it, but it coffee stained brilliantly. See, that's why I love that page, because it had the trees. Anyhow. Some tracing paper, because we love our little crunchy noise. Well, either you love it or you hate it, but most junk journalists that I know love it. So I've got that parchment crackly goodness there too. So another one of the collage raggedy goodness things. It's a thing. So, you know, very plain, very basic. Lots of really good staining on these pages though. This is the second envelope. I did do some stamping on that envelope too, so I lied. I did do some stamping, but it's on the inserts, not on the pages of the journal. So there is that one. And the last of the collaged raggedy journal cards. I love these leaves. I think they came off of a bush of hydrangeas, I believe, that I bought. And the leaves are absolutely gorgeous, and the color tones were perfect match for this journal. So you got a couple of those in there. All right, and that is it for this guy. There are 240 pages in here, but because I didn't do all the embellishing, there's still quite a bit of room to grow. Let me do a close-up here so you can see a little bit better maybe of the cover. But I was just totally geeking out when I made this cover because I love how it turned out. It's grungy and it's taking me back to my mixed media roots because I started out as a mixed media artist before I got into junk journals. So I have a lot of those kind of things as far as like paints and gelatos and a ton of stuff from my mixed media work days. And so I think that's just taking me back to my roots and making me happy because I can incorporate two of my loves. All right, anyhow, thank you guys so much for hanging with me today. I hope to have this journal listed in Etsy by tomorrow, hopefully, maybe, if I'm really, really good and productive today. We'll see. I need to go to Michael's and pick up my order. I'd ordered more Christmas paper pads, and I need to go do that today. And I've got a bunch of Christmas journals I need to video and photograph and list as well. So, anyhow, you didn't need to hear all that. But thanks again. I appreciate all of the likes and comments and views and love. And big love to you all. Hope you have a great day, great weekend. Holidays are coming soon. I can't believe it. It's come so fast, so fast. Where's the time gone? I started my Christmas journals in September, and now we're middle of November. My goodness. All right, I'm gonna stop talking. Have a good one. Bye, guys.